Minister, it's very welcome that there has been a substantial increase in local link services throughout rural Ireland in recent years, and you have placed a particular emphasis on public transport, and I welcome that. Minister, there are areas that it is not feasible to have a bus service, and there are people who do not have immediate family support, many elderly people who don't have their own public transport, and they have to get a hackney or a taxi to go about their weekly business or whatever. So if there was some system brought in to ensure that local hackney services could be grant-aided partially anyway, it would be a big help to many people who are on low incomes and who don't have their own transport. Thank you, Oireachtas.
The regulation of the small public service vehicle industry, SPSV, is a matter for the independent transport regulator at the National Transport Authority under the provisions of the Consolidated Taxi Regulations Act 2013 and 2016. I am not involved myself as Minister in the day-to-day operations of the industry. While transport service provision has improved in both rural and urban areas, it is recognised that public bus transport cannot meet the demands for travel for many people in rural Ireland. Taxis and hackneys therefore have an important role to play in meeting travel demand in rural areas. The NTA issues local area hackney licences where applicants can show that there is a need for this part-time service and that it does not displace or replace current SPSV providers. Both driver and vehicle regulatory requirements and costs pertaining to the LAH licences are lower than a standard hackney regime. A resident of the area where the LAH licence is sought is not required to undertake the industry knowledge or area knowledge tests normally applying for SPSV driver licences. LAH drivers must be licensed and their vehicles must be licensed and insured. There are 21 licensed LAH drivers and 25 licensed LAH vehicles active nationwide as of the 31st of May 2024. The LAHA pilot scheme launched by the NTA in January 23 was a 6,000 grant-aided initiative to support rural transport needs where existing transport services were found to be lacking. A local area hackney may only pick up passengers within a designated area of about 10 kilometres and it may not pick up a new fare at a drop-off point or any other point outside its designated area. Despite significant work by the NTA, only 2 operators are licensed under the pilot, which ended in May this year. The NTA is currently reviewing the outcome. Separately, the NTA is currently procuring a digital platform for access to rural open public transport, the Smart DRT pilot, as part of Connecting Ireland. This platform is expected to both improve people's access to open public transport and provide automated and optimised bus services, routing, scheduling in rural areas.
Thank you, Oireachtas, and thank the Minister for his reply. Minister, it's clear that whatever pilot programme was rolled out, it wasn't very attractive. It's been a complete failure, obviously. Minister, you mentioned about the transport regulator. Over the years, successive governments have given far too many powers away to entities and to statutory agencies. We need to make decisions at political level. Most of your constituents, Minister, can access light railway, Dart or Lewis, whatever, and public transport. I have a hell of a lot of constituents, decent people, who have the free travel, but they might never have availed of it in their life because they're not next nor near a public transport service. I meet, maybe on a Friday morning in my own town, people who've got a taxi in to collect their pension, to do some shopping, etc. You take those people, if they have to get a taxi a few times a week, it's a big portion of their pension payment. Surely it's within the capacity of government and of the Oireachtas to devise a system that would provide some assistance towards local hackney costs, local taxi costs, to assist the person who has never had the opportunity to avail of their free travel pass, which was a great initiative introduced many, many decades ago. But there's a big cohort of our pensioners who are not able to avail of that particular facility, and consideration should be given to providing some help for those people when they have to go on their weekly or twice weekly trip to their local village, town, or sometimes to mass, to church or to whatever. And again, I emphasise, Minister, paying a hackney, paying a taxi for a pensioner on a small income is a substantial slice of their income gone for the week.
I absolutely agree with you. We have to provide good quality public transport and transport services for all our people. And it is with real regret that the local area Hackney pilot scheme wasn't successful. You're correct about that. The uptake was far lower than we wanted. And what we will do is review that and then come back with further iterations. We learn from something. If something doesn't work, well, at least you learn why didn't it work. Maybe, I think from a sense, although this review is ongoing, so I don't want to preempt it, but the conditions were probably too restrictive. In terms of the ability to pick up other passengers and so on. That was done at desire not to undermine the business case for other taxi drivers in rural areas, but we will come back and adjust and try again. But in the meantime, what we've also done is introduced an incredible increase in rural public transport services, the Connecting Ireland system, so it isn't as if this is the only solution, but we do need a better taxi service in rural areas. That's absolutely accepted, and we'll do everything to improve it. As to how you deliver that, I believe it is a problem for government to set policy, to give funding, but to work with the agencies like the NTA. I find them work very well. I don't think the system, I think the system is working for us in this iterative way, that we'll try. If it doesn't work, we'll come back and try again.
Thank you, Colleague Minister. I'm glad that you agree with me that we need to address the issue where there won't be a public transport service for those people who live in remote areas and don't have a family member or even a neighbour next or near them, that they need assistance. Minister, unless that's driven politically, it won't be driven by any statutory agency or government department. So, Minister, I would appeal to you to put your political power and give instructions to the relevant agencies to come up with a realistic Hackney option, not the ludicrous one that was tried already. That pilot scheme has been a total failure, so we need a total overhaul of it, Minister. And I would appeal to you to ensure that you put your political capacity behind a proposal to ensure that it's implemented before this government leaves office next year. Thank you, Cathaoirleach.
Well, first I commit absolutely, Deputy Smith, to giving all our political efforts to improving these rural Hackney and taxi and indeed Bus Connect service, including as part of the success that is happening with Connecting Ireland, to look at this digital online app way of actually really improving, and also working very closely with the likes of LocalLink, who also provide a very significant service, local drop-off, and so there's a whole variety of different services.